The time by Caracris is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible. A historic new market launch, budget pressures in the Bahamas, and Mexico's economy shows fresh strength. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Tuesday, June 23, 2026. I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, the Jamaica Stock Exchange has officially launched its first ever micro market, creating a new platform designed to help small businesses raise capital and access public investment. Also ahead, the Bahamas heads into a crucial national budget debate after the country's economy recently outperformed IMF growth forecasts. And later, Mexico reports a sharp surge in consumer spending, offering a fresh signal of resilience and economic momentum. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
This project marks the celebration of our 30th Hall of Fame and aims to highlight the achievements, challenges, and invaluable lessons of those who have shaped and are shaping the future of our economy. Our aim is to celebrate the voices and stories of 30 remarkable leaders in Jamaica's private sector. Join us as we explore these narratives of resilience, leadership, and vision.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a historic moment for Jamaica's business landscape. In a major step towards transforming how small businesses access capital, Jamaica has officially launched the first investment platform of its kind in the country, a groundbreaking new micro market under the Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE. The new market creates an entirely new pathway for micro and emerging businesses to raise equity capital, giving smaller companies direct access to the country's formal capital markets for the very first time. Speaking at today's launch, Finance Minister Favour Williams described the initiative as a bold and transformative development that could reshape Jamaica's economic future.
Today we launch not merely a new market segment. We launch a new opportunity, a new pathway, and for thousands of Jamaican entrepreneurs, a new possibility that fuels resilience, unlocks opportunities, and accelerates growth across Jamaica's micro and emerging enterprise sectors.
Williams says businesses entering the new micro market will benefit from major tax incentives while giving micro and emerging companies the opportunity to raise between 50 and 100 million Jamaican dollars.
Companies that list on the micro market will benefit from one of our most compelling incentives in our investment landscape. Ready for that? It's a full income tax holiday for the first 5 years after listing. Followed by a 50% income tax concession for years 6 through 10. So this is encouragement for businesses to step forth and be listed and be counted. Companies listing on the micro market will be able to raise between 50 million and 100 million. And if you're not at that size just yet, we've provided a sandbox for you at the JSC.
That was Jamaica's Finance Minister Favour Williams. Meanwhile, the launch of the JSE micro market is being hailed as a major breakthrough for small business financing in Jamaica. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, describes the new platform as a critical piece of financial architecture designed to strengthen Jamaica's micro, small and medium-sized enterprise sector.
So we know how important it is when you don't have a lot of inheritance money in a relatively poor country, that you have to have a stock exchange that will provide equity and patient money for entrepreneurs who are now coming for the first time into business. This is a great day. I'm just happy that the micro market is now ready and rolling. So I commend the Jamaica Stock Exchange for the discipline and vision it took to carry the micro market for strategic intent to the listing-ready platform before us this morning. This is a significant day for Jamaica because we're closing a gap that has stood between promising small Jamaican businesses and the capital they need to grow.
That was Jamaica's Investment Minister, Senator Aubin Hill. And the Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE, is pushing back against growing criticism surrounding the role and performance of the country's capital market, while insisting investor confidence in Jamaica's financial system remains strong. JSE Group CEO Livingston Morrison used today's micro-market launch to address recent commentary surrounding the capital market, saying it has become necessary to restate the true purpose of the exchange.
As a stock exchange, our purpose is to provide a market that is fair, a market that is equitable, a market that is transparent for raising capital and for the purchase and sale of stocks and bonds in a safe and efficient environment. That's our purpose. Safe, meaning shielded from market abuse, misinformation, and operational vulnerabilities. Ensuring that every participant trades with confidence in the integrity of the market and the reliability of its systems. We continue to work towards ensuring safety on a continuous basis.
Morrison also moved to clarify common misconceptions about the role of the country's stock market.
As an exchange, we do not determine which companies should raise capital. That would be picking winners. As an exchange, we do not determine who should buy or sell. That would be allocating capital ourselves. As an exchange, we certainly do not determine whether the market goes up or goes down. That would be manipulation.
That was JSE Group CEO Livingston Morrison. In other news, the Bank of Jamaica BOJ has revealed it is directly supplying foreign exchange to Petrojam Limited as part of efforts to shield Jamaica's economy from rising global oil market disruptions. The disclosure provides fresh insight into the central bank's strategy to contain inflationary pressures stemming from the worsening conflict in the Middle East, which has pushed international fuel prices sharply higher. BOJ Senior Deputy Governor Dr. Wayne Robinson says the intervention is designed to prevent large fuel import payments from destabilizing the foreign exchange market and putting additional pressure on the Jamaican dollar.
When the price of oil goes up internationally, the companies that import fuel into Jamaica suddenly need a lot more US dollars to pay for the same shipment. If they all buy from the foreign exchange market at the same time, the exchange rate based on demand and supply will most likely depreciate drastically. The Jamaican dollar will weaken, and that weaker dollar then makes every import more expensive. Food, medicine, building materials, everything. So what the bank is doing is stepping in directly. We are supplying US dollars straight to the energy sector, mainly to the oil refinery, Petrojam. So the fairly large purchases of fuel imports at a higher price won't disturb the market and cause any sharp depreciation in the exchange rate.
That was BOJ Senior Deputy Governor Dr. Wayne Robinson. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 110 stocks, of which 47 advanced, 44 declined, and 19 traded firm. Leading the winners are Kintyre Holdings JA, Cygnus Credit Investments 10.50% preference shares due 2025 Class C, Main Event Entertainment Group, and Paramount Trading Jamaica. While leading the losers are KLE Group, Edufocal, JMMB Group 7.15% cumulative redeemable preference share, and Sterling Investments. The main index advanced by 1,396.20 points to close at 352,696.97 points. The junior market index also advanced, but by 14.06 points to close at 3,042.75 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. In today's Market Education feature, let us define trustee. A trustee is an individual or organization responsible for holding and managing assets placed in a trust. These assets are administered according to the instructions of the person who created the trust, also known as the grantor. Trustees may be appointed to manage assets after a person's death, oversee retirement or pension plans, or handle property on behalf of individuals unable to do so themselves. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. The Bahamas has officially begun debate on its highly anticipated 2026-27 national budget, as the government says the country is entering the new fiscal year with economic momentum stronger than international forecasts had projected. As senators opened debate on Monday, lawmakers stressed that the budget must be passed urgently ahead of the start of the new fiscal year on July 1, with billions in public spending, infrastructure development projects, and broader economic activity all tied to parliamentary approval. Making his contribution to the debate, Government Senator Jerome Fitzgerald pointed to new economic data showing the Bahamian economy expanded by an estimated 3.8% in 2025, outperforming the International Monetary Fund's 2.8% forecast.
According to the latest released from the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, real GDP is estimated to have expanded by an exceptional 3.8% in 2025, following the elevated post-recovery growth of 4.3% recorded in 2024. This performance once again surpassed earlier external expectations, including the IMF's estimate of 2.8% in 2025. The IMF now places real GDP growth at 2.1% in 2026. Yes, Madam President, the recent record is instructive. Year after year, the Bahamas has shown that its economic momentum is stronger than many observers had anticipated.
That was Bahamian Government Senator Jerome Fitzgerald. Grenada is moving to open its offshore energy sector to international investment, with government planning to launch an oil and gas licensing round in 2027 as it looks to develop a new economic growth industry. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the Suriname Energy, Oil and Gas Summit earlier today, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell says Grenada is preparing its offshore basin for development, supported by data collection, regulatory reforms, and new investor-friendly policies.
Grenada is open for business, and we intend to become part of the next great hydrocarbon story in the Caribbean. Our advantages are real. We have a strategic location, a highly prospective offshore basin, and a government with the will to act. Beneath our waters lies the Tobago Trough, roughly 28,500 square kilometers of largely unexplored acreage with geology that points to immense promise.
Mitchell says the country is targeting the second quarter of 2027 for a selective licensing round and is inviting qualified international partners to participate.
In the second quarter of 2027, we will launch a selective offshore licensing round. And so we are inviting all of you in this room here who are credible, capable, world-class partners to partner with us. We are already doing some of the work that will make your decisions easier. We are assembling the seismic data and the technical foundation that serious investors will require. This is not a leap of faith. This is not a leap of hope. It is a product of rigorous work. We have a dedicated hydrocarbon technical working group with a clear mandate, and the leader of that group is part of the delegation, and he will be staying on for the rest of the conference. That mandate is to build a sustainable, competitive industry the right way, from the very start.
That was Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell. In other news, Trinidad and Tobago's Manufacturers and Exporters Association, TTMA, is warning that persistent foreign exchange shortages could jeopardize plans to nearly double the country's non-energy exports by 2030. The TTMA says the country has the potential to grow non-energy exports to more than 10 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars over the next 5 years. euros, but limited access to foreign currency remains a major constraint for exporters. TTMA President Emil Ramkissoon notes manufacturers continue to face difficulty accessing foreign exchange needed to import raw materials, expand production, and meet export demand in regional and international markets. Ramkissoon says addressing the forex shortage is critical if Trinidad and Tobago is serious about economic diversification and reducing its dependence on energy revenues. The warning comes as policymakers push to expand the country's non-energy sector amid fluctuating energy revenues and ongoing concerns about economic diversification. The group is also calling for stronger policy support, including improved trade representation, greater access to industrial space, and measures to boost export competitiveness. The issue is expected to feature prominently at the Trinidad and Tobago upcoming Trade and Investment Convention, where hundreds of regional and international businesses will gather to explore new trade and investment opportunities. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 25 securities, of which 11 advanced, 5 declined, and 9 traded firm. Today's winners are National Flour Mills, Trinidad Cement, Guardian Media, and One Caribbean Media, while leading the losers are Ansa McCall, Angostura Holdings, Agostini Limited, and First Citizens Group Financial Holdings. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index declined by 0.93 points to close at 1,437.77. The Composite Index also declined, but by 0.48 points to close at 991.30. The Cross-Listed Index remained at 71.84, and the SME Index also remained at 86.92. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Welcome back. In international news, consumer spending in Mexico strengthened sharply in April as retail sales growth accelerated to its fastest pace in more than a month. Retail sales climbed 4.4% year over year, accelerating from a 2.9% increase recorded in March. The expansion was driven largely by stronger household spending across several major consumer categories. Sales of household appliances, computers, furniture, and second-hand goods surged 12.7% during the month. Textiles and clothing sales rose 9%, while healthcare products posted an 8% increase. Those gains more than offset weakness in grocery and food-related categories, where sales declined 5.2%. Online sales channels also remained strong, with purchases through digital platforms, television, and printed catalogs rising 9.3% compared with a year earlier. On a seasonally adjusted basis, retail sales increased 0.8% from March, extending signs of improving consumer demand across the Mexican economy. Meanwhile, fresh business data from Australia suggests the private sector may be moving closer to stabilization. Australia's services sector showed signs of improvement in June as business activity moved closer to returning to expansion territory. The S&P Global Flash Australia Services Purchasing Managers Index rose to 49.9 in June from 48.7 in May. While the reading remains slightly below the 50-point threshold that separates growth from contraction, it signals improving business conditions. The improvement also lifted the broader composite output index to 49.8, suggesting overall private sector activity remained broadly stable. However, demand conditions remained under pressure. New business orders declined for a fourth consecutive month, while export demand also weakened. Employment conditions improved as companies returned to job growth, but firms continued reducing outstanding workloads, resulting in the sharpest decline in backlogs in more than 2 years. Meanwhile, inflation pressures moderated further, although elevated fuel and transportation costs continued weighing on businesses. And in Asia, Taiwan's unemployment rate declined again in May, reaching its lowest level in nearly 26 years. The seasonally adjusted unemployment rate eased to 3.32% from 3.34% in April, marking the lowest recording since November 2000. The number of unemployed individuals fell by 4,000 during the month. Total employment increased by 2,000 workers to more than 11.6 million people. Youth employment conditions also improved. Among workers aged 15 to 24, unemployment eased to 11.14% compared with 11.37% in April. The labor force participation rate edged slightly lower to 59.5%. Analysts say the latest figures reinforce Taiwan's position as one of Asia's strongest labor markets, despite broader global economic uncertainty. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
We get the big contract. 50,000 units a month for 3 years. Great. Won't need help.
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange junior market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, the Jamaica Stock Exchange launches its first ever micro market for small businesses. Regionally, the Bahamas heads into crucial budget debate with economy beating IMF forecasts. And internationally, Mexico's consumer spending surges in fresh sign of economic strength. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.